going to be sharing on the topic of coaching, and coaching is super important for this generation. We know that a lot of the youth that we're serving today is, depending on how we define youth, the lower end of the millennials, but the majority of youth today are Gen Zs, and then the Gen Alpha is coming right up behind them. And this generation, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, and even millennials, are more of a coaching generation. They want persons to listen to them. They don't necessarily want a lecture. And there's room for counseling, there's room for mentorship and such, but they also want us to ask them questions and to listen. I was at a session on Saturday, and the amount of students who wanted to just talk and talk and talk and talk. There is so much that this generation is facing, and they are looking for persons who are willing to just sit and listen. And while that might not be provided at home or in different spaces, as youth leaders, it's important that we are providing that for our youth. And so tonight, our first presenter, Imran Richards, Mr. Imran Richards, who is a really good friend of mine, who is a global leadership consultant, trainer, and missionary, and a whole lot of other hats that cannot fit on this screen, is going to be talking with us about the importance of coaching, using our coaching approach in engaging this generation. And I am really just blessed to be introducing Imran. He's a really good friend of mine from Barbados, and Imran and his wife Davida are two phenomenal global leaders that's just like advancing the kingdom of God in unimaginable ways. And I think for me, I've always said this to persons, Imran is like super gifted. But the one thing that I admire the most about him is just his humility. He is humble, and he has a passion for youth as well, like a serious passion for youth, and has served quite a bit in impacting and empowering youth. I will dare to say that he is a direct advisor to the Prime Minister of Barbados, Mayor, the Honorable Mayor Motley. I hope I am giving her right titles, but he's a direct advisor to her primarily because of the work that the proof and the impact of work he's been doing with youth in troubled communities, youth in who are in prison and such. And so Imran, I want to I thank you so much for making the time to be here this evening to share with us on a topic that I know that is dear to your heart. Thank you so much.
Awesome, thank you. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
And you can hear me clearly?
Yes.
Okay, great. Awesome. Well, it's definitely a pleasure to be with you tonight, and I'm excited always to support Liseth in these ventures, because I am extremely passionate about what she is doing, and by extension, what the team at ID Pioneers is doing. And so any opportunity that I can have or take to speak into that, to contribute to that in any small way, I am always excited to do so. Because I only have 20 minutes, I want to dive right into the material. So yeah, pleasure to be with you. Let's go. Let's go. When I think about coaching, this is one of the definitions that resonates with me. I know that you guys will probably unpack this a lot later, but I wanted to establish a bit of context for the rest of my presentation. So when I think about coaching, I think about unlocking a person's potential to help them maximize their own performance. It's helping an individual to improve, to get better in every area of their life, so that they perform better in every area of their life. It's helping to unlock a person's potential. This is why, if we think about sport, that's what a lot of coaches do with athletes. They help them to unlock their potential, to improve by 1%, to recognize that they have in them the ability to do more, to push a little bit harder, to break another barrier of performance, etc. And the goal is, as that potential is unlocked, that individual is able to maximize their own performance, to maximize their potential by maximizing their performance. And oftentimes, it is extremely grounded and rooted in helping people to understand purpose. And the second part of that sentence is, it is helping them to learn rather than teaching them. So good coaches believe that the individual always has the answer, or at least in most instances, that they have the answer to their own challenges, their own problems, but understands that they may need help to find the answers, in being able to discover something that they may already know or be aware of, but may not fully believe or may not have fully tapped into. And as a result, as a coach, because there's this idea that as the coach, I need to be better. But the truth is that as a coach, I don't need to be better than the person that I am coaching. I just need to want better for the person that I am coaching. I mean, and this is in no way a slight on anybody on this individual that I'm about to mention. But if you ever think about Usain Bolt and Coach Mills, Coach Mills, if you see him, you would think to yourself, what could Coach Mills teach Usain Bolt? Like, how could he help Usain Bolt to unlock his potential in order for him to maximize his performance? But Coach Mills didn't need to be as good as or better than Usain Bolt. He just needed to want better for him. And I think that's, at the end of the day, that is the major key that contributes to somebody being a really effective coach. Is, do you care about people? Is do you genuinely care for people? Do you genuinely love them? And do you genuinely want and desire better for that person, for those individuals? Do you care for them? Do you love them? Do you love people? Or do you treat people like projects? So I think those three statements are extremely important. Let me just come back. So it's, coaching is about unlocking a person's potential in order that they may maximize their own performance. It's helping them to learn, to discover something, to discover truths about themselves, about their ability, about their strengths, rather than trying to teach them. And the reason why this is important is because if you discover something for yourself, there is a higher possibility that you will remember that thing as opposed to somebody teaching you it. Right? So you guys already know, like, we remember 10% of the things that we hear. We remember only, I believe it is around 30% of the things that we hear and see. We remember around 50% of the things that we hear, see, and do. And we remember 70% of the things that we hear, see, do, like things that we experience, like your connection to that particular truth goes so much deeper when you experience it for yourself. As you do it, as you engage with a particular experience, where that learning is discovered, then you remember it more, you remember it better, you remember it longer. And so helping people to learn rather than teaching them is extremely important when it comes to coaching, and I'll talk about how that happens as I go further. I want to repeat again that good coaches believe that the individual has the answers to their own challenges already, that they just need to be helped. Within you, seeing Bull, if we return to him as an example, the ability to run at the numbers he was running at was already there. It was already on the inside of him, like he already had that ability. And if probed, chances are he had an idea of some of the things that he needed to do or not do in order to realize that ability. And the coach just comes alongside him and walks with him through that process, right? And so as a coach, maybe you were thinking, because this is one of the major hurdles that you need to get over, especially as a young person, is, but why would other people listen to me? What do I really have to offer? I am not, I am not as gifted as this person. There are coaches who some of their clients are multi-millionaires, but those coaches may never see that amount of money in their entire lifetime. Does it mean that they're not qualified to coach those people? Of course not. Because as a coach, I don't need to be better. I just need to want better. And so obviously then you still need to develop your skills and sharpen your skills and so forth. But the idea of that inferiority complex is something that you have to address as you discover your own identity, your own unique value and what you bring to the table. That's extremely important. And so a few misconceptions that individuals have is that the coach is an expert, like that, and that the center of the experience is the coach. At the center of the experience is the coach because they have all of the knowledge. No, the coach is not the expert. As a matter of fact, coaches may very well spend time walking with people on various topic areas that they themselves have not been privy to, have not been exposed to. But coaching is not being an expert. Coaching is not about being an expert on a particular topic area. Coaching is about being a facilitator. It's about being a guide, as it were, right? I love the word facilitator, especially. The coach is better than the coachee. We unpack that a little bit as well. And then another misconception is that the coach is there to teach. We talked a little bit about why that is not the case. The coach is there to teach. So those are three common misconceptions that individuals have when it comes to coaching. I want to talk about characteristics of Generation Z. And the reason why this is important is because if you are going to be effective in anything, then you need to raise your awareness about that thing. And if this generation, if those are the ones that you are coaching, then yes, reality is you do need to become an expert on them. You need to understand the people that you are going to be coaching. You don't necessarily need to be an expert on the topic. You need to be an expert on people. And so you will be as effective as your awareness. There's something that we often talk about in our movement, the work that we do, Liseth and I together, and it's called look and listen. Looking and listening is so critically important to walking with people and helping them to achieve the outcomes that are important to them. The helping them to achieve success, helping them to understand who they are, their purpose, etc. being able to understand people, to look, to observe, to listen, to hear, and I'll unpack that a little bit more. So characteristics of this generation, they're money driven and ambitious. They love to travel. You guys already know this. If you follow people, young people on Instagram, as long as they have the means, then you can guarantee that they will spend time traveling. They're prone to anxiety. I think there's not a word that we don't hear coming out of this generation's mouth, particularly Generation Z, more than toxicity. Yeah. I was in a toxic relationship. This environment is toxic. This is messing with my mental health. So anxiety is a huge challenge. As a matter of fact, I think more than 33% of Generation Z would say to you that they wrestle with anxiety. They're known to set boundaries. So these are individuals who aren't prone to hustle culture. They are prone more to soft work, I think is a phrase that is coined. If you are on TikTok, then you probably see a lot of hashtags with soft work, because this generation believes a lot in work-life balance. They aren't going to be extremely loyal to one boss or one company. They aren't going to spend long hours at the office. They are going to set strong boundaries for the way that they engage with work and so forth. And if they feel like those boundaries are not being respected, then they will leave. Right? They will leave. They're avid gamers. Actually, a study shows, and this was in the US, so it may be less so for others, but that 9 out of 10 Generation Z kids are playing games, either on their phones or on a console. They're avid gamers. And obviously, all of these have implications, which I don't have the ability to go into right now. They're nostalgic. A lot of this generation spend more time thinking about the past than they do about the future. They spend more time reflecting on the past than they do about the future. As a matter of fact, it is this generation that has brought into style more, that has brought back into trending more styles than previous generations. And a lot of these styles that they've brought back into trending or whatever are styles that weren't even around when they were born. So they're constantly listening to music from previous generations, or exploring dress of individuals from different generations, and they aren't afraid to rock those styles and so forth. But they're very nostalgic. They use social media in a unique way. As a matter of fact, studies show that this generation use TikTok and Instagram more now to get answers to questions than they do Google. And now with ChatGPT, I'm sure probably they won't be going to Google as regular. But even before ChatGPT, Google was something that this generation wasn't messing with a whole lot, or hasn't been messing with a whole lot. And they're using social media for inspiration, a number of other things. So in a number of different ways than somebody like myself may use social media. They are racially diverse. So they are definitely ones who grew up in a multicultural, multi-diverse world. I think through social media, again, just the world being smaller, many of them have friends that are from different ethnicities and backgrounds and races, etc. So very racially diverse. Many of them, as a matter of fact, are mixed. Many generations that are mixed kids, etc. So very racially diverse. And I think I have one more. They are digital natives. So they're the first generation that were born, like born into technology, essentially, and are comfortable with technology. Like, this is one of the first generations that people would say don't need to ask their parents anything, that they don't need to learn anything from their parents. I'm not saying that that is true, but this is what people would say, is because whether there's Google, whether it's TikTok, whatever it may be, like, this would be one of the first generations that don't need their parents to learn anything, because in their minds, they need to teach their parents. Their parents can't necessarily teach them, at least not for the world that they have been born into. And all of these have implications for the way that we engage them, the way that we engage young people. I'm going to ask you to do something, but I'm going to go to one more slide first, and then I'll ask you to do that. So some of the biggest challenges of this generation, some of the biggest challenges are mental health, unemployment, cancel culture, technology addiction, aging appearance, substance abuse or addiction, alcohol addiction, sex addiction. This generation, actually, one of the characteristics of Generation Z is their exposure to pornography and the impact that it has on them. And then violence or bullying, less human interaction because they're digital natives. And then there are, and I added this one here about just being biblically illiterate, very post-Christian in their thinking, not growing up in church, not having a care necessarily for Christianity, but very spiritual, but not pro-Christian. So two very different things. If you were to coach, if you were to be walking with a young person from this generation, how do you perceive, what do you think is necessary, would be necessary? What type of coach would you need to be? What skills would you need to have? What do you think would be necessary to move them from where they are to where God desires them to be? Because coaching is about helping people to move from where they are to where, and for me, when I think about just my faith and everything, is to where God desires for them to be. Not where I, as the coach, would like them to be, but where does God desire them to be? Understanding that I have to navigate all of this. Understanding that I am not necessarily a teacher. I don't necessarily need to be better than them, that I don't necessarily need to be an expert. What would be the approach that is necessary to really help a young person move from where they are now to where God desires them to be? Anybody want to share any thoughts on this? I don't know how much time I have, Lisa. I only have like 2 more slides, but I want to just engage with this question for a few minutes, and then I'll wrap up my talk. And I'd love to open the floor just for anybody to respond, just to share your perspective. You can unmute your mic and go ahead. Anybody want to go?
I think this is Narika.
Hey, Narika.
I think one key thing is we ought to be relatable, not dictators.
It's really good.
Relate to them.
Good. I feel that you should be teaching this session.
Not at all.
Awesome. Relatable. I hope you're taking notes. A short pencil is always better than a long memory. All right. Yeah, you want to make sure that you write this down. If you are a leader, then you are a note taker. Why? Because information leaks. Vision leaks. The further away you go from an event, the higher the possibility that you will forget what you experience at the event. I say this all of the time, because it's true. You may remember how the event made you feel, but we don't just want the emotion that is associated with the event. We want the information that is associated with the event as well. Otherwise, I was not here for the education. I was here for the entertainment. And we're not here just for entertainment. We're not just here to feel good and go back home. You know, otherwise you'll be at a concert, right? You know, so it's not about entertainment, it's about education. And how do you retain the information is by writing it down so that you can go back to it and engage with it over and over again. So you definitely want to write that point down, being relatable. Anybody else? That's a really good one. Thank you, Narika. Anybody else want to share? What do you think you would need to do? What type of skills do you need to have? What would you do to move a person from where they are now to where God desires them to be? If you were a coach walking with a generation, with a young person from this generation.
A word that comes to my mind, Sandra here, is to be non-judgmental. When you did based on the challenges that are identified in my generation, those are things that we would not necessarily be a part of my generation. Yeah. But now persons are more open to this lifestyle. So it's critical that we understand the difference between the generation and not seek to cast judgment, but seek to have dialogue. I think that's one of the things that came out of the conversation last week, that we should seek to have dialogue on the issues. Yeah,
awesome. That's really good. Love it. Not being judgmental, and then dialogue, having dialogue, allowing for conversation. Yeah, that's really good. Anybody else? Maybe one more person?
I was going to say that as a coach, they would need to trust you.
Look, oh man, you're one of the presenters. Trust is so critical. Yeah, because you move, according to Stephen Covey, at the speed of trust, right? You move at the speed of trust. If a young person does not feel comfortable, if they don't trust you, then they won't open up to you. And your progress will be extremely slow because you have to slow down in order to build trust so that you can then take things forward. Yeah, that's really good. Really good. Thank you so much for sharing. All right, let me jump back here to the slide. And you see here less human interaction. Many of them struggle with belonging. You know, so trust is really, really important. Thank you guys for sharing. So consider that facts don't change people. Friendships do. Facts don't change people. Friendships do. And you will know this. Most young people will do the thing that is popular before they do the thing that is right. Now, they would know that something that is popular isn't right. They would know that the thing that may be right isn't necessarily very popular, but they will choose the thing that is popular. Why? Because facts aren't as important to them as friendships are. In other words, belonging often comes for them before belief. And in a lot of instances, belonging shapes belief. So you'd find that a lot of guys that maybe have difficulty at home and they find themselves liming on the block, they first find a place to belong, then they embrace the beliefs that the guys on the block have. I grew up in church, but I found myself shouting, "Jah Rastafari," because I was liming on a block where other people were shouting the same thing. Now, in my mind, I just always knew that's not what I believed. But it didn't matter. It didn't matter what I believed, because what really mattered was that I belonged. And I wanted so very much to hold on to that belonging, even if it meant going against my personal beliefs and embracing the beliefs of the group that I know felt a sense of belonging to. Consider that you don't learn from people that you don't like. Youth don't learn from people they don't like. So dialogue is important because dialogue builds trust. Not being extremely judgmental is important because force creates resistance. One of the mistakes that people make in coaching is they don't recognize that me pushing back against you, why did you do that? Why did you, why did you make that? That force only creates resistance. So the person that talked about relatability, you know, is so right. Because now when I find young people that hold tightly to a particular perspective, you know, my response is, man, I feel you. I used to feel the same way, but here is what I have found. So I immediately relate to them while sharing my perspective in a way that disarms. So it's not forcing because I don't want to create resistance. So we call it feel, felt, found. You know, I feel you. I understand where you're coming from. I felt the same way at one point in time. I'll be honest now, if you didn't feel that way, don't say it, right? But I felt the same way. However, as I've journeyed, here is what I've found. And you share your perspective, right?
Could you repeat that, please? Feel, felt?
Feel, felt, found.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, feel, felt, found. I feel you. I felt the same way, but here is what I've found as I've matured in my thinking, as I've grown, as I've passed through certain experiences, etc. Right? So force creates resistance. You don't want to do that. Young people won't learn from individuals that they don't like. And one of the ways that you establish that trust and relationship, at least for me as a coach, is I also try to be vulnerable with them because it creates that relatability. It's the swing door effect. You know, if I don't swing the door, then the door doesn't swing back. And so I want the door to swing back to me. So I swing the door first, right? You know, I share about my insecurities. I shared about my challenges and how I've overcome them. Why? Because perfect people don't inspire, perfect people intimidate. And so you want to be real and honest with those individuals that you are walking with. And millennials, Generation Z, like they absolutely need that. All right, let me just continue because I'm sure that my time is like absolutely gone. So a few key skills that I would really want to just leave with you, in addition to some of the things that you guys have shared, is a coach asks powerful questions. John Maxwell says, good leaders ask great questions. It's the same it's the same for a coach, right? You ask powerful questions. Because if you want to help that individual to unlock life-changing answers to the challenges that they are going through as they're seeking to move closer to the place where their dreams rest, to the place where God desires them to be. If you want to help them to unlock powerful answers, then the key is powerful questions. It's powerful questions. Yeah, and there, you know, three types of questions. There are closed-ended questions that serve to check facts. You know, where were you born? You know, just to check the facts, make sure you remember something. Where was Jesus born? Right, one answer. Yeah. Then there are open-ended questions. There can be many answers, and you're helping a person to think. You know, whether it be possibility thinking, scenario, you know, whatever it may be, but you're helping that individual to think and explore maybe their feelings, their emotions. How did you feel when that happened? All right, open-ended questions. And then there are follow-on questions. Why did you feel that way? Man, I understand. Thank you for sharing how you felt. Maybe tell me a little bit more. Why did you feel that way? You know, and so anyway, those are just three types of questions, but asking powerful questions is a really key skill. Listening actively. being able to listen to what is being said. And active listening means that you're engaging with the person, you're looking them in the eye, you're watching. You're watching, you're giving them your full attention as they speak. You're asking clarifying questions. Am I hearing you correctly? Is this what you were saying? Do I understand you well? Is this the point that you were making? All right, active listening. And then observation, because you don't just want to listen for what is being said, you want to listen for what is not being said. And one of the ways that you listen the way that you listen for what is not being said is with your eyes more so than with your ears, right? And there's so many things that are given away as you talk with young people, so many tells that they may have in relation to whether they feel shy about a topic, embarrassed about a particular truth, if they're angry about something, if they felt a sense of betrayal, if they felt, whatever it may be, if they're closed about a particular issue in terms of not trusting you, and they're, whatever it may be. So you're watching their body language. Observation is a key skill of a coach. And then just helping them to summarize. As a coach, like, you have to be able to help them to capture what they are experiencing in a way that they can express, so that they can understand it and other people can understand it where necessary. In other words, it's like helping to give language to things that are in their heart. It's helping them to say what they're feeling better. It's not you're telling them what to feel. It's that you are helping them to express that in a way that makes sense as you hear it, as they feel it, right? And then you help. Another key skill of a coach is helping with action steps. If you guys have heard me share at all, then you know that one of the things that I am extremely passionate about is the difference between information and transformation, and its application. We don't just want people to be informed, we want them to be transformed. And if they're going to move between information to transformation, then you have to help them with the application. How do I apply what I am hearing? Because if a gap, and maybe you want to write this down, if there is a gap between what you know and what you do, there will always be a gap between what you want and what you have. If there is a gap between what you know, the information you have, and what you do, the application of that information, then there will always be a gap between what you want and what you actually have, what you were able to achieve. Yeah, you could talk about what you want to achieve from now until the cows come home, unless something is done. So the goal is, as a coach, I want to help you to close that gap. I want to help you to close the gap between what you want and what you have. But I can't do that until you close the gap between what you know and what you do. So a key skill is helping with action steps, holding accountable, helping them to walk that through. What do you think is necessary? What do you think are necessary steps in order to move you closer to this place? How will you action this decision? What do you think are important next steps? What is the highest leverage action that you can take today to maximize on this opportunity tomorrow? All of those types of questions that you're asking the person to get them thinking about action. What stops you from applying this? What is the biggest obstacle that you have to overcome in order to action this particular thing? I mean, there's so many different ways that you can ask the questions, but it's helping them to get to this result of application. I think I have one more slide, but I don't see it anymore, so that's fine. All right, I don't know if you guys have any questions, but that's it. I won't go any further. Thank you so much for your time. Lisa, hopefully that was helpful.
For sure, Imran. Thank you so very much for sharing in such a powerful way. I mean, there's no doubt about the value that you've added to those of us that are here this evening. Thank you so much, Imran. Of course, I'm taking notes. When Imran speaks, I take notes. Listen, I don't joke. This guy is just full, like his cup is just full and running over.
I took notes too.
All right, Kathy.
Can I tell you, I love the way you describe the Gen Zs, and we have a lot of them where I am, and it's it's so true. And and I have a daughter too who just she what age up to 30 what 30 Gen between what
up to around that age.
Yeah,
right.
Gen Z is around up to 28 thereabout.
28 or so, right? So she has been I see some of the influences, but no, because she's married, no one have. I'm a grandma now. I can see responsibility coming in, which is great. One of the things you said about spirituality versus Christian being spiritual, could you unpack that for me a little more?
Yeah, sure. So you would hear this generation talking a lot about maybe stuff like the universe, or maybe talking
manifesting
about manifesting
Gotcha.
those types of things. So very spiritual in nature. They're talking about like meditation and positive energy and those types of things.
Yeah.
Anything remotely close to Christianity, then there's an aversion to it. So they're searching, but they just believe that the church no longer has the answers that they're searching for.
Right.
And I think that's the challenge that we have to navigate as we engage this generation. And what compounds the challenge is that we are living in one of the most biblically illiterate generations of our time, because millennials didn't walk with Generation Z to Sunday school, as parents, they stopped taking their kids to Sunday school and so forth. And then as we kind of experience globalism and cultural penetration, then people started to adopt views from here, there, and everywhere that were foreign to the values and the social norms and upbringing that they would have experienced just a few short years ago. So that's a major challenge.
Yeah, it is.
Which is why, Imran, I do believe that it is so relevant and very important that we're taking this discovery and coaching approach to supporting them to learn and to grow and develop. Even in terms of learning the Bible, don't think about teaching the Bible or Bible study and sitting up here and talking. Like, give them, facilitate that discovery Bible study, kind of like exciting approach to discovering what is it saying, and and meet them where they are at. If they don't agree, if they don't want to, meet them where they are at. And I think that is where that non-judgmental, being in that space of just love, unconditional love and acceptance of where they are at, meet them where they are at, and with them go on that discovery journey together. And it makes such a huge difference to just preaching at them. It's so important.
Yeah, that's huge. One of the major reasons that Gen Z aren't interested in church is because the preacher preaches too long. So they're sitting hearing someone talk for 45 minutes to an hour. And one of the mistakes that we've made is, especially as Christians, is that we think because we have something to say that people have to listen. And that's not necessarily true, right? So I think when we take a more conversational approach to reading the Bible and so forth, then that's where we engage them more. And I'll finish by saying that one of the and I didn't mention it because I was looking at coaching just explicitly, but if I think about this from a spiritual perspective, then one of your biggest assets as a coach is prayer, is being led by the Holy Spirit. It is asking the Lord to put the words in your mouth, to give you that powerful question, to help you to be relatable, to show you where to press and when to hold back, when to be firm and when to be soft, etc. And so prayer becomes really, really critical in that entire process as you invite the Holy Spirit into that journey along with you.
Amen. Amen. And that specific point, I'm gonna come right back to it when I begin to introduce Kathy, as she's gonna share with us a little bit more around coaching skills and a practical model that we can use when we're engaging youth. But we just want to show some love and appreciation to Imran. In the chat, let's just share some words that just describes to you what Imran has shared with us tonight. How was that for you? I see some interactions coming in, some heart shapes coming up. So a totally heartfelt, transformational. I think transformational is the word that comes up for me from the sharing. Powerful. Any other words? I see facts coming up in the chat as well. Heartfelt, powerful, facts, transformational. How was this for us as we seek to be relevant? This is what we talk about, being relevant for this generation in youth ministry, being relatable for this generation in youth ministry. So really, really powerful and life-transforming, Imran. Thank you so very much. And very informative. Yes, Sachel, I agree with you. I agree with you. And I mean, that last point that Imran made around the importance of a coach being very spiritually connected is the word that I would say is critical. When Imran asked, who do we need to be or what do we need to do, in light of what we learned about Gen Z and the challenges that they're facing, who do we need to be or what do we need to do as a coach? That's what actually came up for me, along with the other things that were shared. We've got to be so spiritually connected, and prayer has to be a big part of it. And that is the word that I actually want to use to introduce this powerful woman right here that is about to facilitate the next session with us. Kathy, her name is Catherine Davis Smith. I call her Kathy because we go way beyond just facilitators, but we are friends and sisters in Christ. So I mean, whole heap of things are going there, sir. And I'm really just excited and thankful that she said yes to the invitation to facilitate this session tonight. She's a powerful transformational coach, a powerful trainer, a powerful leadership consultant. Time would not allow me to read through just the different spaces that she's served in Jamaica. Top corporate companies supported top professionals to shift, transform their lives, see a huge turnaround in their lives such that they can impact not just their teams, but their families and the different spheres in which they serve. And so it really is a blessing to have Kathy on tonight. Kathy, thank you for saying yes. And we look forward to the insights that you will add in addition to what Imran shared in terms of helping us to understand the why of coaching, coming us to help us to understand the how of coaching. Thank you so much, Kathy, and over to you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, Liz. Don't know if I deserve all of that, but I thank you. As a share, right? I'm going to share my video. So let me get to So this really is an introduction to basic coaching skills. And I wanted to say where I'm coming from. So my coaching skills were always based on a lot through Conversations for Greatness, which is a project that we had done some years ago. The tools are very powerful. They shape many lives. But it has a little bit of everything in there: coaching, mentoring, counseling. Strict coaching, which I experienced in a powerful way a couple months ago, when I was in a very vulnerable state and really needed some coaching myself, and reached out. And the person used the GROW model. Now, the GROW model, coaching model, is used all over the world. But it was the first time I was truly experiencing it, and it really made a difference for me. I got some really great insights so that I had a shift in my mindset, shift in my in terms of my disempowering paradigms to more powerful paradigms. My belief system around myself and, just amazing. And I'm being very vulnerable here, guys. I don't know any other way to be, as we said, no. So I really want to see if I can introduce this now, because I think the growth model, just because of my experience with it and how very powerful it was for me, I want to see how, maybe I believe that this would really work well with our Gen Zs and with young, persons, even at any age, it doesn't matter. But it's structured, and that's what I love about the growth model. It's structured, and so it just guides you through different stages. So before I go into that, I want to talk about the difference between coaching, mentoring, and counseling. And I'm going to tell you now, time frames, minimum 6 months to several years is what will happen with that when you're mentoring a person. So your mentee, you provide them wisdom and guidance, and you focus on on past experiences. Our mentees, some of them would have experienced some form of trauma, and you know that mentoring sort of also is connected with counseling. And in between, they're all sort of connected in some shape and form. You have coaching as well. So I'm not separating them, but when we are doing basic coaching, when we're really asking and probing questions and helping people to be able to get those insights, there is a technique that will help us to get. So mentoring focuses on past experiences. The mentor provides their wisdom and guidance, and it can take 6 months to several years. Coaching, the time frame is normally 3 months to 6 months. Coaching is future, goal-oriented, focuses on defining and achieving specific goals. That's very important for coaching. It's future goal-oriented. It is what's happening to you now in the present, and what do you want to achieve in the future? What is your goal? And it's specific. It's specific goals. But so the thing with coaching is that you want the coachee to be able to look at what's happening in their lives, what's present to them now, and to be able to say, okay, where do you want to go? What's the goal? And how do you plan to get there? And then you want them to have a plan. I think Imran mentioned that. It's an individualized plan for them to achieve their goals, and it has to be within their timeline, because the coach is not there to tell them anything. The coach is there to have them explore, to probe themselves, to look inward, to see what it is that they want to achieve. All the answers are within them. I think, again, Imran had said them, right? Had said that if they don't get the insights themselves, then it's not going to be as powerful as it, as we need it to be. In fact, if they don't get the insights themselves, then the coaching has really failed. They have to get those insights themselves. Everybody with me? Counseling time frame is about 3 to 4 months, and the therapist provides support normally for healing. Again, they assume that the client needs help to overcome past experiences, hurt, trauma, and the stories will come. They will hear sometimes counseling. It shouldn't take more than 3 to 4 months. Sometimes persons keep going back, for all of them actually. But mentoring is the one that lasts the most, as a mentee becomes like a role model, and through their experiences, through their wisdom, they continue to guide and help the mentee to grow. Is everybody clear on that? I just want some sharing in the chat.
So far, yes, so far.
Okay, great. Thank you. So our focus today is on coaching skills, right? So here's what life coaches are not. They're not therapists. Coaching as a discipline does not focus on the past, but on the present. And in so doing, the coachee gets to speak to the goals that they want for themselves, their families, and their work life. When is it valuable? When is coaching valuable? It's most valuable when the focus on the conversation is primarily on the coachee and their situation. Not about you. Focus is on the coachee and their situation. It is valuable when it benefits their thinking, their actions, and their learning. When you have that conversation with your coachee, what you want to do is you want it to impact their thinking, their actions, and their learning. It's like a shift in their mindset for them to have that aha moment. That's when they get clarity on their situation. So it's most valuable when the focus is on the coachee and what's happening in their life, their thinking, their actions, the learning that they're getting from the coach, and not from the coach itself, but even just from themselves, just going inside, looking at the internal landscape, probing them, just getting those aha moments, the awareness that will lead them to now choose to where they want to go and the goals that they want to achieve. Those insights are very, very important. So once they have clarity on their situation, a lot opens up for them. So again, I heard Imran say this: without coaches, everything that they're looking for is not out there; it's already in them, right? So this says what you're looking for is not out there; it is in you. That's what's happening with our coaches. They have the answers. We as coaches just need to pull it out from them, help them to see it. So now we're into the grow model, right? So your role is to help your coachee grow by helping them to get insight so they can achieve their goals. I remember when I started doing my coaching with my coach, and the questions that she kept asking, and I had to keep thinking, and she would, what is your goal? What do you want to achieve today? What do you want to achieve for next week? And sometimes it just takes stages, but it's so amazing when you see the things start, when you actually put it into action and you see it happening, and because it's coming from you, because you feel so powerful, because you feel like you're achieving a lot. And I just want to say that this model comes from Sir John Whitmore, who actually passed recently. And he published this grow model from 1992. And it is still very, very relevant in today's, with coaches all over the world. Very, 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 very relevant. So G stands for goal, R for reality, O for options, and W for we find, or sometimes they say will. Do you have the will to keep your commitment? Okay, so stage one, we identify a goal. And here is where I'm asking persons now to interact with me. So what I've done is I'm going to show you what it is like to ask the questions, right? But I want you to, anybody who is brave enough, I want you to take this on for me. Who wants to pursue a higher education at this point in their life? I want to use that as an example, just to have it there. And then have someone work with me as I take you through the grow model. Anybody anybody wants to pursue a higher education?
Yes.
Oh, great. Who is that? Let me see.
My name is Tavon.
Tavon. Okay, so what do you want to achieve out of this session as you and I talk? You want to pursue higher education. What do you want to achieve out of this session itself?
Well, I actually came on a little late. Unfortunately, I was on the road, so I'm catching up, really catching up.
That's okay. That's not a problem. I'm getting feedback. Is everybody hearing me properly? Is it okay?
Yes, we're hearing you, Kathy. I think it's Tavon. There's some feedback there with Tavon when he shares.
Tavon, let's say you want to find a way to achieve that goal. of pursuing higher education. Would that be reasonable?
Yes, are you hearing me now?
Yes, I am.
Yes, I am.
Less feedback, or is it perfect? Oh my goodness, let me try something. Can I rejoin? Let me try to rejoin.
Okay, not a problem.
Okay, not a problem.
Hello.
Good.
Good.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know. Don't know what to do.
What a pity, because I know Tavon would have loved to have this opportunity.
Yeah. Is he gone? Tavon, you gone? He's gone?
I'm just trying to send the link to my laptop instead.
Okay.
Okay.
Kathy, let's probably wait for a couple seconds and then try with someone else.
Okay.
If that's okay with you, Tavon, so everyone can get the benefit of this particular session. And we are happy to facilitate a coaching session with you, Tavon, to explore what Kathy just mentioned. In terms of that goal that you have, we're happy to facilitate a coaching session, a personal coaching session with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he says you can continue, Kathy.
Okay, is there anybody else?
Thank you, Tavon.
Who wants to try? Anybody else wants to pursue higher education? Do you want to stick to that? Nobody out of the 15 of us? What's up there?
Yes, I want to pursue higher education.
Julian?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So let's say the goal is that you want to pursue, that's what you're working on, and a way to achieve that goal, right? You want to find a way.
Pardon?
Not hearing?
No, I didn't hear it.
So what you want to achieve out of the session is you want to find a way to achieve the goal to pursue higher education.
I'm sorry, can you repeat one more time?
Are you seeing the screen?
Right, I am seeing. Oh.
Okay. So we agree on this?
Right, so you're asking me what issue or area that
so you said that you want to higher education. Is that it? That's the goal that we can focus on today?
Right, yes.
Okay, and what you want to achieve out of this session, and I had it as a way to achieve that goal.
Well, what I want to achieve out of this session, of course, is to learn how to communicate with people effectively, especially in the career field that I'm going in. I want to.
So, yes. So what this is like a practice to show you how to do it, right? So that's why I want to take the steps. So that's why I'm using a practical example from your own life, if that's okay. So if you work with me, we'll just go and it will show you what the steps are.
Right.
Is that okay?
Right. So you're asking for an example?
So I wanted us to work on, I want to pursue higher education just because I chose it because I figured that there are young people in here who probably wanted to do it, and it was probably a topic that we'll be able to get through quickly with. But is there any other thing that you had on your mind? And I don't mean, the reason is I want to go through the actual stages.
Right.
So you want to work with me?
Sure, I do.
Okay, thank you. So we're going to go on to the second stage, which is the reality, right? So you want to pursue higher education. What is happening right now? Clarify your current situation why you're not able to do that. What is happening right now?
Right, so why I'm not able to do that right now is because I feel like I'm an introvert. So sometimes it's very difficult for me to speak to persons or know exactly how to communicate with them. So yes, that's something that's happening right now.
And how does that tie back to you trying to pursue a higher education?
That ties back with me trying to pursue a higher education. Let me just a second to think about that. Okay, so I feel like I am a little bit scared. Just to say, I am pursuing a higher education, but I feel like some things make me a little nervous or very scared. So I think that's how it's impacting me. I'm very afraid to go out and do certain things. Or very nervous because I'm working, for example, in the medical field. You get a little nervous because you're like, what if I do something wrong? You know, so that's something that makes you really anxious, rather.
So therefore, the goal then is not in pursuing higher education. What would you say your goal is if we're talking about that?
All right, so my goal is to, what do you mean? My personal goal or goals for persons as well? All right, so my goal is
right now.
Okay. My goal is to work with people. I want people to feel comfortable around me. I want to help persons that don't feel confident about their oral health, because that's what I'm dealing with. That's a main goal of mine. Yes, that's a main goal.
Okay, I'm going to go back and ask you a question. So how does that impact you?
That goal impacts me because it pushes me. That's what pushes me to continue. It makes me feel like it makes me feel joyful when I see other persons happy and confident in themselves. So that's how it's impacting.
So did you say something before about you want people feeling more comfortable around you?
Yes, especially as regarding to like their oral health. I know a lot of people tend to, specifically people that I've come in contact with, they sometimes tend to feel a little embarrassed about the oral health, especially seeing how expensive it is to care for your oral health. I want them to be transparent with me.
Oh.
Right.
So is there any that you could help them to do that?
Most definitely. I have always thought about non-profit, working with non-profit dental organizations. As I get more in the field, I'd love to. I don't know how it will happen, but by God, I know it can be possible. I'd love to help people, assist persons who probably can't afford toothpaste. That's a problem, you know, persons can't afford certain products, very expensive. So I would love to assist persons like that.
Okay. So how do you think you could go about doing that?
All right, so for one, I'm planning after I am finished graduating, hopefully, as I stated, I'm going to sign up with working with a non-profit organization.
So you're going to sign up with working for non-profit organizations?
Right.
That you're going to be doing? Okay. By when do you think you'll be able to do that? Do you have a time frame for it?
I do. I was thinking of A little after I've graduated.
You want to stay a little, so right after graduation,
Not right after, because I think I'd have to pretty much get myself in line, ensure I have a stable job and everything, and then I start that out.
Okay, so you want to get a stable job first before you actually go into a nonprofit. Is that what you're saying?
Right, yes.
Okay, so do you have a timeline at all for that at all? How long is it going to take you to? Because you're studying now, so your long-term goal for the future would be to be with a nonprofit organization.
Right. And you're asking me how long would I work with that nonprofit organization?
No, sorry. No, I wasn't asking that. I was just, in terms of the goal, I would want to see if you would have a timeline, to put a timeline to it.
Right, I have. I said within like 2 years after graduating, it has to come to fruition.
There's a difference between 2 years and a little time.
What's the difference?
No, I said, do you see the difference?
I do see the difference, yes.
So it's always good for us to have the goal has to be specific,
right,
and measurable, right? You know that, right?
Right.
Be able to, and so that you have the commitment to do it.
Yes.
Okay. So I just want to thank you, I should say, for we haven't done, but did everybody sort of get the feeling of how this works? Did you get any clarity, by the way? Judy, hello?
Oh, yes, I did. I most certainly.
Can you share what the clarity was?
The clarity was for me, where you mentioned, where you where you asked me about my goal and how long would I
take
to pursue that goal? And I said 2 years, and then I said a little after I graduated. That's kind of for me contradictory, and that made me realize that I have to rethink that.
Okay, good. Thank you so much.
Thank you as well, and you're welcome.
So guys, anybody has any questions at this time? Because we haven't gone through all the stages, but we sort of did with her without her knowing. So let me just take you through. But any questions at all? Did you get a feel of what it is how to coach and help people by probing for them to come to their own awareness and get an insight? Anyone? No? Wanting to hear from someone. If you didn't get anything out of it, let me know. It didn't go exactly how we wanted, but she still had something on her mind and she still had a goal in mind. So how did the questioning did you see it's important to just keep asking questions until the person comes to their aha moment. No?
Cassie, can I jump in and share an insight that I got as Trudy was responding to the question? They're answering in the chat. So Narita says yes, Sachelle says yes.
Oh, I'm not seeing the chat. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Some responses in the chat.
Okay.
Just one insight for me, which was huge, was and you kept asking those clarifying questions to get her to the core of what the real issue is. Yeah. So first, the surface issue was I want to pursue higher education, but as you kept probing, it went to a deeper and more meaningful issue of I really want to support persons with oral health to build confidence, and that's so much more of a powerful goal than just pursuing. There's a why behind the goal. So it's really asking those probing questions to get to the deeper, more meaningful matter at hand. So I think that was powerful. That was powerful for me.
Exactly. And so the questions are very important, because in asking the questions, persons start to think, and it's the thinking that you want to get them to. You want them to start really thinking about what it is that they really, really want. What is that goal that they really, really want to achieve? It's important to have a timeline to it. So we'll go through. So the reality, what is the reality? Your role is to help them understand that and to help them to gain insight. What is happening right now? How is it impacting you? Is the situation tenable long term? That's another question. That would have, if it was, say for instance, we're doing the example about the high school, or going to higher education. Some persons probably would have situations where they're not earning enough right at this point, and things are impacting them. How is the situation tenable long term? It helps them to think through. So what are your thoughts and feelings that you might have about yourself in this situation? And sometimes persons, feel less than because they're not able to do what they want to do. And then what is the ideal outcome? So whichever way or whatever the situation, that is what would happen in stage 2. So stage 3, you start looking at options and you generate options. How could you make that option happen? What else could you try? You keep asking what else. Keep asking questions till an option resonates with the coachee and they see its possibilities. So their role is really to help them to feel out what is possible, generate and assess the options. In this time, you can offer some suggestions in this step because it's options. And you keep asking, and if they can keep coming up with options, you can give them an option or two. But what you really want before you offer your suggestion is for them to do most of the talking and keep thinking. It's important to guide them in the right direction without actually making any decisions for them. And so your role is to help them find a way forward and commit to best actions. And that's stage 4, wayfind, and do they have the will to really keep the commitment? And sometimes when persons come to you, the goal might be a weekly goal in the coaching. It might be a monthly goal, but you don't want them to leave you without actually saying, if they're committing to a time, as they are to give you a time as to when they're going to achieve that goal. And in your next coaching session, you would say to them, did you achieve the goal? Because we want to see if they have the will and the commitment. When it comes to options, which option do you think will work best? You keep asking, what is the next step? What will you do now? When? What could stop you from moving forward? That's a big question. And so, you go through again all different things that could stop you. How might you overcome that? These are questions that you, as a coach, you must keep asking, so that the coachee really keeps digging. It's probing, and trying to, once they get, why is this happening to me? Why am I feeling that way? How am I going to be able to overcome that? What are the stoppers that I'm seeing? Because all these things are going to start coming up for them. What are the stoppers that are what is stopping me from really achieving this goal? So you follow up with them, whether it's daily, weekly, monthly, depending on the coaching times that they have for you. Some of them, mine was weekly. So eventually, finally decide on a date when you'll both review the progress. This will provide some accountability, and it definitely will show your commitment. Allow the coachee to change their approach if their original plan isn't working. Okay, any questions? So as you can see, we're just keeping asking the questions. So the goal, what is your reality? What are your options? And the way or the will. How will you find your way? to do it. So can someone, I was asking, let me see if I can get this up myself, or I don't know, it's, hold on. I think I can do this. Let's see some help in a video. Is everybody seeing the video?
Kathy, you would need to do a new share.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Just stop sharing and then share that particular screen.
Okay. Okay. Oh. Not happening. Hold on. Sorry about that, guys. I'm not good with Zoom, but I'm seeing it. Ah, there you go. Thank you. Can you big it up? Is it big? I don't know. Never mind.
When it is sharing, or you, Kathy?
When it is sharing, I think.
When we're not hearing it.
I'm not even, I'm trying to get back. Or is it me? Or is it me? Are you seeing it?
Look at how it works.
Yes, just restart it.
Being a coach is all about asking good, open questions. And this is where the GROW model comes in. GROW is a simple but effective framework that helps your coachee understand their challenges properly and identify what their next actions should be in order to reach a solution. Let's take a look at how it works. G stands for goals. The first few questions will help your coachee to establish an appropriate objective. For example, what do you want to achieve? What does your goal mean to you? When will you meet your goal? R stands for reality. You should then ask your coachee to think practically about their goal and how it would look in reality, using questions like, what support do you need to achieve your goal? What challenges do you expect to encounter? How might you deal with them? O stands for options. Next, ask your coachee to think of 3 or 4 things they could do that might help them reach their goal. Then work with your coachee to evaluate these options by asking questions like, what are the pros and cons of each option? Or what factors will you use to weigh up these options? W stands for will or way forward. Finally, establish how committed your coachee is to the actions they have agreed. To do this, ask the coachee to rate their commitment on a scale of 1 to 10. Explore together what would need to change or happen to get them to a 9 or even a 10. Identify some practical actions, such as blocking out an hour a week to work exclusively towards reaching their goal. Encourage your coachee to imagine how they will feel if they meet their objectives. Visualizing a successful outcome will motivate your coachee even more. So there you have it. By using the GROW model, you can help your coachee stay on track, engage in some genuine self-reflection, and identify relevant and realistic actions that will help them achieve their overall objectives.
Okay, so that's it, guys. So let me go back to my PowerPoint. Are you seeing it? Are you seeing the?
Not as yet, Kathy.
Not as yet. I really should have just let Minette if she can go to that, because it's not happening here for me. Let me see again. Yeah. Okay. Seeing it?
Yes, we are seeing it.
All right, let me see. Okay. Okay, so the benefits of coaching, we have a strong sense of self-awareness. You get insights and self-discovery. There are specific measures to track and review progress towards a goal, and it gives the coach accountability and speaks to their commitment. Everybody clear on that? We're good? Those are the benefits of coaching: a strong sense of self-awareness. You get insights and self-discovery. There are specific measures to track, very important. You have to, you have to be committed, and you have to want to really truly reach that goal. So you're helping you to review your progress towards the goal, and it gives you so much, it makes you feel so good when you achieve the goal that it becomes now something that you want to do again. You want to go back and see, okay, what else can I achieve? What else can happen? What else? The futures, they're open for you. And that's the thing about coaching. It really speaks to the future, not to the past. So there are 5 fundamental coaching skills: building rapport and relationship, which Iman has spoken about, very important. We want to talk about different levels of listening and using intuition. We talk about asking effective questions and giving constructive feedback. So building rapport and relationship, trust and rapport are the connective tissue for gaining and maintaining healthy coaching relationships. We want to come from love. We want to see the greatness in every coachee, because we're created in the image and likeness of God, guys. And everybody that comes in front of us has greatness in them, created in the image and likeness of God, and they also have a purpose. So when you're doing this work, it's really God's work. That's all I can say in terms of really helping and supporting them to be able to see what their purpose is and to be able to help them to achieve their goals and get those insights. But we can't do it unless we really have to care. We have to really come from that place where we're seeing that it's possible for them. We have to empathize, and we have to genuinely care. Empathize and genuinely care. When you're empathizing with somebody, you're understanding. You can see it from your own eyes. You can see it from you can see it because you yourself maybe have experienced what they're going through. You're not coming from a place of judgment. You have to be open. You have to be vulnerable with them as well. As Iman was saying, I find when we're vulnerable with our coaches, that's when they really open up and they realize that it's not just them alone, and no matter, even with it, for me, even with age difference, when I'm speaking to younger persons, I have stories that I can tell them that are real for me. And just the fact that I'm vulnerable, it opens them to be vulnerable with me. It's very important. Maintain a sense of calm and don't get defensive. Something is, you might have difficult coaches, and the key is always to be calm. Don't get defensive. Just be patient. When the coaches get an insight, celebrate with them, be happy with them. I tend to make a noise and whoop, whoop, and we celebrate together. Avoid behavior that is humiliating to the other person. Don't point out flaws. You want to stay in a very positive place with them. and put your own ego on the back burner. When we 2 to 3 different levels of listening and using intuition. So as a result of their listening, a good coach is able to go beyond what is actually said, and you begin to notice what is unsaid. It's very important, because if the unsaid doesn't get said, then there's no clarity. And many of us are not fully listening most of the time. So as a coach, you need to be able to sustain your listening, practice listening in a more focused and effective manner so as not to miss key nuggets that can take the conversation forward. And by the way, the coaching knows when you're not listening. They know. They know if you're distracted. So when you have your coachee in front of you, you are 100% giving them all your attention. Here is another 7 levels of listening using your head or your heart. Pretending to listen. Unfocused. That's when you're using your head. Listening for what is wrong, judging. That's when you're using your head. You're listening to win an argument. We're not here to win arguments with our coaches. You're not preparing. You know, some people you're speaking to them. These are just serious listening. Things that we need to know and practice as coaches. You can't be preparing to win an argument. You shouldn't even be getting in an argument with your coachee and wanting to win that. Some people, you're talking to them and they already start to formulate an answer in their head before you even finish saying what you have to say. That doesn't work. Listening from genuine curiosity to understand the person or content, that things that they're saying. And asking the question, as Iman was saying, could you clarify that for me? Did I hear you say this? Clarifying question. Listening from empathy to understand context. Again, coming from heart. And listening inwardly to learn about yourself. Because here's the thing, even sometimes as we coach, we ourselves are learning. Sometimes I like to say, as we pour into them, they pour into us. I don't know if that makes sense for you, but when you are dealing with when you're coaching persons, things can come up that you yourself, you get an insight. Because it's not a better than thing. It's not a, I know everything. We don't. So we too can be moved, touched, and inspired. We need deeper and reflective listening into our conversations as coaches. So asking effective questions. To be a great coach, you need to be able to ask great questions. In coaching, a well-timed, simply worded question can remove barriers, unlock hidden information, and surface potentially life-changing insights. So powerful questions are important, and I'm not sorry. Nice being up here. Also, a good question. Hold on. Yeah, so it's simple, it has a purpose, and it influences the direction of someone's thoughts. These are the characteristics without controlling them. Good questions. Example, can you say a bit more about that? Was it about earning more money that is important to you? How will this amount of travel affect things at home? You're always asking the questions. They're simple, they have purpose. It influences the direction of someone's thoughts, and you're not controlling them. You're influencing their thoughts, but you're not controlling them. Powerful questions, they refocus your thoughts from problem to solution. They can help someone feel more powerful and constructive about a situation. Powerful questions, they tap into creativity and create options. And they can make a problem feel more like a challenge or an opportunity. They create, this one is big, they can make a problem feel more like a challenge or an opportunity, and they create positive forward movement towards solution or action. So last but not least, giving constructive feedback. Feedback should be given with a positive intention, fact or behavior, and constructive and beneficial. So when it's time to give feedback, a good time to give feedback is when your coachee doesn't appear to have noticed something in a situation. So here is an example. By offering immediate feedback as an observation, you can clarify their awareness. For example, when you describe James, you use the word unruly a lot of times, and also he's a complete disaster. Did you notice that? So what you really, again, is you're really giving them an insight into what they're saying. Do we get that? So we're clarifying that awareness for them. We want them to hear themselves, to hear what they're saying, and see also if how that can, by what they're saying, how it can also impact even the person that they're speaking about, and not even realizing that they're doing so. So feedback is more likely to be effective if it is factual and based on something a person can do something about or change. And here is the thing, we need to be listening also to the stories that people are telling us. So that's why it's sort of always important, not sometimes, always important to keep persons on track with the questions, because you don't want them to go off into long stories. Stories tend to be not factual. It's about how things are occurring for people and not facts. It's their interpretation. So it is important and effective. It is factual and based on something a person can do or something or about or change. It is often best to comment on behavior as a person can appreciate that they have choices about how they behave. And one of the great things too that we need to, people, once they're aware, they can get to choose now about their behavior. Once you have awareness, you always have choice. So who is a life coach? A life coach sees the greatness in themselves and therefore can see the greatness in everyone, as we're all created in the image and likeness of God. So when I see you through my eyes, I think that we're different. But when I see you through my heart, I know we are the same. Right, guys, I hope this helped. Sharing.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you so very much. Really very practical. I think the demonstration with Trudian, who was a really great coachee, really helped to drive home the point. The GROW model is a very practical model that can be used in coaching, and the skills, those skills, when we think about listening, and how many of us listen from our head versus our heart, and what is really required to support persons to experience transformation in a coaching session is really going to the core, to the heart. And so really, really powerful question, insights there, Kathy. I know we're a little ahead of beyond time, and we apologize for that, team. Just wanted to see if there's anyone that had any questions. Anybody has any questions, or one or two persons just share an insight that you'd have gotten from Kathy's sharing just now. Any questions, or anyone would want to share an insight that they got from Kathy's sharing? Would love to hear from somebody tonight.
Good night. All right, so one insight that I got was allow the process to take place. So let the questions flow, let the person speak freely. Don't rush the process.
Absolutely.
For sure, for sure. Thank you, Nariko. That is, I mean, being patient in the process is really, really very critical, and trusting the process and trusting the Holy Spirit in the process. We don't know how this session should end or what direction it should take, but once we have engaged the Holy Spirit and invited the Holy Spirit to be a part of the process, the Holy Spirit, who knows what is in the heart of God for that youth, for that individual, will facilitate the process and bring it out such that it's in a powerful and life-transforming way for them. Thank you so much for sharing that, Nariko. even as you were sharing, Kathy, I think this is the last point I'm going to make, and then we are going to wrap up. As you were sharing the GROW model, with identifying the goal and assessing the reality, where is the person at, identifying the different options that are available to that person, choosing one, right, choosing that one, the way find one, choosing that one option, and then supporting the person to write down an action plan, you know, for how they're going to carry that out, was actually very practical. And I find that that is actually a model that we can have when we talk about discipleship. So here's what's happening, guys. It's a model that you can use for career conversations with your youth, just similar to what Kathy just asked. It's also a model that you can use in discipleship based on where they're at on their journey. What is your goal? I want to know Jesus some more, or I want to know the Bible some more, or I want to become a Christian. That's the goal. So where are you at right now? Right now, I don't believe in Jesus. I don't believe in God. There are so many whatever, and I'm just exploring. Right now, I'm just exploring. I just need to figure out, like, so that's where they are at. So if you want to get to know Jesus, what are the different options? Well, I could read the Bible, I could go on the internet, I could do this, and you explore the options. And then in the last thing with the wayfind, you help them identify what is that one that is most likely to get you to understand and learn about Jesus. And you help them build out an action step. And then your mentorship conversations with them is just following up with them on that action step. Remember, they have not made a decision to follow Christ yet, but in the wayfind, they're working out a plan for how they're going to carry that out. And then in your mentorship conversations or ongoing coaching conversations with them, you're really kind of just checking in, how is it going on? And so this is how we are shifting the approach to you to say, you need to read the Bible 3 times per week. You need to do this. This is how you get to know Jesus. Like we're not teaching them or telling them, but we're asking them, and they're coming up with this solution that they believe will support them to get to connect with Jesus. And this has really proven to be a very powerful method to connect with the youth of this generation. And I want to encourage us to explore it. So that was really solid and on point, Kathy. Very, very solid. I saw it clear for how it could be used with discipling youth of this generation. So thank you so much.
It really does work when put into practice. It really, really does work. So you can, it really helps you to get to the, to get to the aha moment. And also you have to be committed to get those goals because you're being held accountable to it. And, it's like the coach, as you're saying, so where are you now? Or do you want to recommit to a timeline? Even that, if things are, and say why you have to recommit. But it's asking you to really stay focused and achieve that goal. It really,
exactly. Wonderful. Thank you so very much, Kathy. Very powerful sharing. Very powerful insights, very powerful tool. I like when you can get, when you leave a training or a session and you have a practical tool that you can literally go and walk away and implement immediately. Thank you so much. And for some of us, we might need to go back and look at the recording to solidify some of the things that came out. So yes, Kathy, please share the PowerPoint as well. That would be very helpful to share the PowerPoint. Thank you so very much, Kathy. I appreciate you. Appreciate you. Love you and appreciate you. And can we just show some love in the chat for Kathy? How was this session for us? In the chat, let's see some words there to describe the either one word to describe the session or one takeaway that you got from the session, so we know. I know it was very valuable for me. I see some heart coming across for you, Kathy, which shows that it's hitting to the core. It's not just knowledge, but it's connecting at the core. Thank you for that. And there's a final thing that I want to share tonight, team, in terms of the way forward and us just wrapping up, because 6 to 7 week thing just gone like that. Where did 6 weeks go? Oh my God. So relatable, very deep are words that's describing the session. Kathy, thank you so very much. Thank you. So next week, team, will be the final 2 sessions. On Tuesday will be the final virtual session, and then on Saturday will be the wrap-up session. The wrap-up session. The wrap-up and celebration, and we'll do whole life coaching and experiential learning again in that session. So you're fully equipped to really serve your youth in a very engaging and practical and exciting way, because that's what this generation desires. So here's a few practical things, housekeeping things that we want to note as we move towards the wrapping up of this program. We want to point out that this is a program that offers a certificate at the end, but to get this certificate, we would have had to complete at least 4 of the 7 sessions. And the identity and purpose sessions are mandatory. Why? Because the program that is the program curriculum that is being offered to you, complimentary at the end of this training as well. The primary objective is supporting your youth to come into identity and purpose. And so it is very important that we have a good grasp, a good understanding of identity and purpose to facilitate the manifestation of this for our youth. All the other skills and such that we're offering is in support of this big why. So coaching skills, mentorship skills, facilitation skills, whole life coaching, experiential learning, all the other skills and such that we're offering is in support of identity and purpose manifesting in our youth. So those are mandatory sessions that would have either had to be completed, like you were present at the sessions, or we are offering you an opportunity to still get the certificate by reviewing the recordings. So for those persons who were not present, whether physically present, for example, on the first day, or were not present on the virtual sessions, you have an opportunity to complete the sessions, any session that was outstanding. So if you were only present at 2 and you needed to do 3 to make up, if you're only present at 1 and you need to do 3 to make up, whatever sessions are outstanding, we are giving you the opportunity to complete those sessions via an online or learning opportunity. And so when it is going to be sharing a link here, both here in this chat as well as in our WhatsApp group. And we're allowing you until next Sunday, so that's this Sunday coming, the 23rd of April, to review the session recordings and respond to a couple of questions to help us to understand, to confirm that you do get a good grasp of the content that was shared. So once she shares with you that assessment link, you'll click on it. The YouTube links will be there for each week, and you watch the YouTube link, then complete 2 to 3 questions on each week in the link, and we'll be happy to offer you the certificate. You can go back, you can answer the like, for example, you watch week 1 or week 2 and you answer the questions for week 2, you go back into the same link, you watch the video, you answer the questions for week 4, you go back. So you can just submit for each week, submit the link each time you complete for each week, and we will be happy to take a look at it and then certainly offer you the certificate. So that's by this Sunday, April 23rd. Now, next week, Tuesday, is the final session. Next week, Tuesday, the 25th, is the final session. And on Sunday, we also would love to have an understanding of the number of persons that are actually attending the closing session on the 23rd of April. We can understand from a logistics perspective, we're a nonprofit organization, and so we'd love to ensure that we are set up to serve you. We would want to ensure that we're serving you in style, but we can't do that effectively and efficiently as well, so we can save on costs unless we know the total number of persons that are attending. Certificates being printed, the printed certificates will be done for persons who are physically present. If you're not going to be physically present, we will share an electronic version of the certificate for you to download. So when it is going to be in communication with you around that, and so we ask that by Sunday, the 23rd, you confirm if you're going to be physically present at the closing sessions next week, Saturday, which will be between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. So just take note of that, and do let us know whether you will be there. We're really looking forward to celebrating with everyone. It's a milestone that would have accomplished, having gone on this journey for the last 6 going 7 weeks. And so we'd certainly want to celebrate together. Yes, sir, Randolph.
Hello, Lisette. For the certificate, for those who are not able to come face to face to collect it, for those who live at a far distance like myself, will we get it shipped to our location, or get it virtually?
We can work out with that person what is the best way to get it to them. There may be persons, so you're in Montego Bay, there may be somebody coming down to Montego Bay, and we can get it to you that way. So there's always a solution that we can work on in a situation like that, for sure.
Okay, that'll be good.
For sure. What I will say though, Sir Randolph, is that the whole life coaching and the experiential learning that we are going to be offering next Saturday in the closing session it's key. It's a really very important skill, given just how these youth are learning today. So if at all you're able to be in Kingston for that particular session, we started it in the first session, but we'll continue to do it in the final session. And we chose to do it in the face-to-face session because it is best taught that way, as it is experiential learning. So it's learning through games and activities. So if at all you're able to be there, then I would highly encourage you and just about anybody else who wants relatable ways to engage and serve with youth to be at that particular session.
Right. Thank you so much, Sister Lisa.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Wonderful. I don't know, Sir Randolph, I feel like I should just ask you to close for us tonight.
Or in prayer.
Yes.
Okay.
let me see if there were any other questions before I ask you to close. Any other questions about the online assessments as well as the closing ceremony next week, closing sessions?
Well, the online assessments, Sister Lisa, is the same one that we got or a different one that we're doing?
Say that again.
Is the same online assessment that we got before, or is it a different one?
Yeah. This assessment is specifically related to the course that we're on. So it's not it's not psychometric assessments. This is an online assessment to assess our learning from this course, from this session. Okay. So it's pretty much just watching the YouTube recordings and then answering 2 to 3 questions on each session.
On each session. All right.
Right. And that's primarily for persons who were not able to be on every single night, but would still want to get the certificate and the learning, because more importantly than the certificate is the learning to be equipped to serve the youth that God has entrusted to us.
All right.
Yes. Shamari, yes, you will need to watch both identity sessions. You'll need to watch both identity sessions to be able to great Shamari. So you can be in touch with Wayne Shamari to figure out which one, and then just know which of them you would need to watch to reply to the questions. But as I said, it's the certificate is 4 of 7 sessions. So far we've completed 5 and we have 2 more to go. So if you've done 2, you may want to be present for the last 2. If you've done just 1, you may have a session recording to do, and then you'll be present for the next 2. So reach out to us and we'll be more than happy to work through what the solution is. Or what we want to do is to ensure that you're served and set up really well equipped to serve the youth that God has entrusted to you. All right. Bless you, everyone. Bless you. Bless you. Bless you. Sir Randolph, would you please just close for us? Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Sister Lisa. Let us pray. Father, we thank you for your blessings. Thank you for your love and your mercies. Indeed, it was a wonderful session. Our hearts were encouraged and our minds were challenged. from the presentation that was done. And indeed, we can say it was a good presentation. We thank God for the facilitator. We thank God for the team at ID Youth Pioneers. We can say that they have done a fantastic job in putting this thing together. And we can say that we're learning as we go along in our field as we work with young people. I pray that the special power of the Holy Spirit will surround us as we continue to do what we have to do. And Lord, help us as vessels of honor as we do your work, and bless us as we go from strength to strength. And as we leave from this platform, I ask that you go with us, you bless us, and you use us. And let your name be exalted and glorified in our lives, we pray. In this we ask, O Lord, in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.
Amen and amen. Thank you, Sir Randolph. Thanks again, everyone. Bless
You're
you
welcome.
and have an amazing and restful night. Look out for the assessment links and any other information that Waynette will share tomorrow and over the next couple of days. Thank you, Waynette, for serving so effectively and wholeheartedly and sacrificially. Bless you, my darling. Appreciate it. Blessings, everyone. Rest well.
Thank you.